Are you still supporting Graham Platner?
As I said, I endorsed Graham Platner. We're going to beat Susan Collins and take back the Senate.
I like Graham Platner. You like Graham Platner?
That's my kind of man, because that is a man who not only has the values, but a man who believes in accountability.
Oh, yeah, Lizzie, that's your kind of man right now. We are now just a day away from Democrats in Maine nominating Graham Platner for the Senate, a guy with a troubled past, to say the least. The Nazi tattoo on his chest, sure. The guy who bragged about pleasuring himself in porta potties. I don't want to report on this, but it's a fact, and you need that information. The guy currently in the middle of a sexting scandal. He's married with multiple women who have come forward, all with different allegations. I could go on. But waiting on the other side is a 5-term Republican Senator, Susan Collins, who is not popular with certain people on the right nationally because she voted for Donald Trump's second impeachment. She confirmed Ketanji Brown Jackson. She voted against the big, beautiful bill. Jim McLaughlin is a polling expert and the co-founder at McLaughlin & Associates. Patrick Alaco is the founder of the Zeus Political Index. Gentlemen, great to see you tonight. Patrick, Real Clear polling has Graham Platner beating Collins head-to-head tonight by almost 7 points. Do you buy those numbers?
Rob, don't believe the polls unless they're Jim's. Platner's own internal last week had him up 4 points, and internals are always inflated towards the candidate releasing them. So with a nearly 4% margin of error, he's not sitting on a lead. He's effectively underwater. At this point, a Democrat needs to be up 12 to 15 points to survive Collins. Her late-breaking independent support, her proven history of outperforming the polls. Instead, Platner's negatives are rising, and that's why this race is going nowhere fast for him.
Okay, Jim, is there any way, we keep hearing about this fairy tale that Maine Democrats are going to vote for Janet Mills, who dropped out of the race but is still technically on the ballot, and that they'll do this tomorrow to avoid nominating Graham Platner? Could that happen?
It could, but I don't think it's likely, to be quite honest with you, because the amazing part about it was I've done surveys in some of these Democratic primaries, not the least of which was New York City, and we all know what's going on there. And we found that 80% of the Democratic primary voters in a place like New York, Democratic primary voters, they like socialism. And that's the problem with today's current Democratic Party. They haven't had the guts to stand up against the socialists, against the Marxists, and not only aren't they standing up against them, but they've made their party a safe haven for them. So I think when it's all said and done, like, look it, they're all getting on board. You just showed the clips. Elizabeth Warren, Schumer, they're all on board for another crazy socialist candidate.
Well, and they keep moving the goalpost. Here's Elizabeth Warren during the Brett Kavanaugh confirmation hearings in 2018.
The Republicans have decided they can just roll this one on through, and they can roll over not only Dr. Ford, not only the other accusers, but roll over millions of women who have had it with men who decide that they are entitled and they don't have to listen to complaints about sexual assault.
Okay, Lizzie, all right, so that was then, this is now.
That's my kind of man.
Her kind of man. Patrick, do voters care about this just like massive contradiction from Democrats?
Platner's base, no matter what, will look the other way. But independents in Maine and voters across the country can see what's happening. Democrats demanded one standard for Kavanaugh. Now they want another standard for Graham Platner, Elizabeth's kind of guy. That contradiction matters because it reminds voters that for Democrats, character only counts when the accused is a Republican.
All right, Jim, I want to ask you about the L.A. mayor's race. You know, I did this in the monologue. We talked to Steve Hilton tonight. Spencer Pratt, you know, I sent him a text message today. I'm trying to get him on the program. He's very hesitant. He's new to politics. I don't think he realizes how bad it is that he's now trailing Nithya Raman by 3,000 votes in that state, given what that state's history is. That's why I say that, okay? Is there any way he can make up that ground between now and July 10th, which is like the Major League Baseball All-Star game, by the way? That's how long that is from now.
It doesn't look good. And look what's happened in all these. You look at what goes on. Everybody gets sent a ballot in the state. It is just ripe for fraud. You know, it wasn't that long ago you had states like Colorado, you had Washington State, which were basically swing states, but they do the same thing as California does. And I think California is as bad as anybody because there is no controls on this. There is no voter identification. It's just ripe for fraud. It's third world country, banana republic stuff. And look, you know something's going on when it's taken this long to count the votes.
One state needs 38 days. Florida gets it done in 4 hours. I don't understand it. And then you ask questions about it, and people say, well, you're an election denier. I'm not denying anything, just asking questions. Jim McLaughlin, Patrick Alaco, great to have you on. We'll do it again next week. We appreciate it. Scott Pelley should have just gone on a sailboat this weekend and just relaxed in the sunshine. Instead, he did what so many arrogant people on my side of the camera do when they get the axe, and everybody gets the axe at some point. He did an interview, and he tried to make people feel bad for him, and it didn't work. Stay with us.